Welcome back, Big Orange fans. Thanks for joining us today. We've coming off a painful loss to Crimson Tide, Bob. We may have a painful loss on the baseball field coming up. And, you know, Bob, we're going to dig in. Is the season over, or do we still have a playoff shot? Do we have a big bowl game? Let's get into that later.
Yeah, well, look, we've kind of dug into that a little bit this morning, and we'll kind of tell you where we think we somewhat at. Is the playoff still available to us if we win out, which is a big if, and we kind of looked at that a little bit, but let's start out with um some depressing news, uh, and not the football team.
Yeah,
uh,
potentially.
Potentially depressing news is, looks like most likely Tony Vitello will be going to the Giants. Probably announced today. Probably.
Maybe next 48 hours at most, probably.
It's not absolute, I don't think. As of late last night, it doesn't appear that he has told the players that he's gone, and that he has told people that he has not accepted the job yet. But when reports come out,
And there have been multiple
mo-
multiple reports saying that a deal was close to
I
being
mean,
finalized.
I followed sports forever, and I'm sure all of y'all have too. Usually, when this stuff comes out, it's usually a done deal. It's pretty rarely when it don't pan out.
Yeah, but I have seen a few.
Oh yeah, and I mean, what?
Well, Rick Barnes was going to UCLA.
Right. I mean, yeah, it happens. It happens. So uh, I think this is a bad move for Tony. I'll just go on the record of saying that he is a very good coach, but he's a better recruiter than he is coach, in my opinion. And you don't have to recruit in Major League Baseball. Uh, I know it's probably a dream of his to be a Major League Baseball coach.
Of course.
My If I was betting man on this, I would say Tony would be fired in 3 years, 2 to 3 years. He'll be back in the college ranks, uh, if he takes the job. I just don't think he'll pan out. I think uh,
And that's not sour grapes.
that's not sour grapes. Yeah, I just think I mean, what's happening here is unprecedented. Um, at this, a college coach has never went from college to pro with no pro experience at all.
Right, straight to the top spot,
Yeah,
manager spot.
yeah. I mean, it's unprecedented. Uh, Now, you know, do I think? I'm no baseball guy. I'll just be honest with you. I don't. I never played much of it. I don't, and I kind of take away a little bit of what I think is. It's not at the same level of coaching as football or basketball. There's not near that level of coaching. There is coaching more than what I realized by 10 times, but so I think it's more about the players that you get in uh, than the other sports. So maybe he is successful. He is successful. I don't know, but
Well, if they give them good players, uh,
right.
then yes.
But I reckon the rumors is that the boosters have gotten involved, and um, I don't think Tony's money is big as a factor as NIL. You know, Now if other boosters could jump in there and say, "Hey, we're going to give you a little bump, Tony, and what we're really going to bump up is your NIL money," then yeah, uh, then that might be enough for him to stay. I reckon he is in talks with the athletic department. I mean, as far as we know, this is not a done deal, or it wasn't yesterday, but it is very close.
Yeah, we're certain, surely.
The next question is where do they go if Tony was to go? And then you got basically two options. You got um, Josh Elander, which is on staff, and You know, do you hire him with no head coaching experience, and you do that in order to try to keep your class together? Because, and one note that needs to be said right off to him is uh, players can't transfer.
Or they can transfer
But yes, they can transfer, but they can't play next year.
this year.
Yeah, this coming season.
Yeah.
Unless you're a grad transfer, then you can. So that needs to be noted. So I don't think we'd have a mass exodus. Uh, Either way, I don't feel like.
No, I agree, Bob. I think Elander's someone that we've been worried about having to leave at least 2 to 3 years and taking a job somewhere,
Mhm.
and he's been waiting for the right job to open up, and it may just open up right down the hallway.
Right.
Um, or you can go outside and try to get another experienced name coach, but who you going to get once the season's right upon us? You're not going to get anybody.
Right.
So it's Josh Eland, in my opinion.
Yeah, honestly, if it was me, what would I do? I think I'd give him, if he gets, Tony does leave, I give it to Elander on an interim basis.
Well, that's a possibility. It gives yourself a little wiggle room.
It gives you, you give him a tryout and see if he can hold on to the players, see what
By
he
the
does
way,
for the team.
as far as the interim coaches go, not 100% sure on this, but I know in football, I think they moved it back where the players' ability to transfer doesn't start under an interim coach to end the season anyway.
Gotcha.
Okay, uh, they changed that about 2 to 3 weeks ago. Now, whether or not that falls under baseball in this situation where the season hasn't even started yet,
Right.
that I'm not aware of.
Hopefully we don't have to find out and Tony sticks around. We don't know all this is for nothing. But, uh, I would probably give it an interim position, give him a tryout, and then gauge some interest behind the closed doors of
Put some feelers
home
out
run hires.
to
You know what I mean?
other people's.
Because this is
Hey.
not this is not the old Tennessee baseball program. This is
This is a loaded ball club.
loaded ball club. Yeah.
A lot of guys would enjoy having this job,
Right. But now
but
could they
is it
get
the ones that you want?
right? And could they get a big name? I really don't know. I mean, do they want to fall in behind as the guy that followed Nick Saban or Bear Bryant, that kind of guys? Does a coach want to follow somebody like Tony? Because it's going to be hard to.
Well, Tony's got it going right now, but he wouldn't quite fall into the.
No, and that's what's disappointing is the fact that
If he'd stayed here, he might.
yeah, I think that's what's disappointing is I feel like Tony could, if he stays, can cement himself as a Nick Saban, Bear Bryant, General Nealon, whoever type elite. Um, you know, what's the UCLA coach? I can never think of his name.
John Wooden.
Wooden type, coach. Somebody who's a legend. He's young, 47, 49, something like that. Still got a lot of years left on him, a lot of championships.
Well, we just went through that with Pat Summit.
Yeah, right.
Hard to follow.
So we'll probably know something in the next 24 to 48 hours on that one. I have a feeling probably something later today. But we'll see.
On the football.
On the football. Let's talk about, if we can go more depressing. I think what's really bothers me about this game is we had more yards than Alabama, if I remember
We did.
correctly, and felt like we could. Alabama wasn't just an unbeatable team.
It felt more like to me that we lost the ball game instead of Alabama winning the ball game.
Right.
Self-inflicted issues with us. Just sloppy game.
The end of bad. The end of half, I about had an aneurysm. That is that's the type play that get coaches fired. I'm not saying that's what we should do or anything like that, but man, sometimes you watch things happen and you're like, it clicks in your head like, yeah, this guy is too much for him. And what bothered me was I was initially blaming it on Halsley, but that was after a timeout. I mean, this is what they come. I realized they needed to pass the ball. I mean, that everybody knew it. Bama knew it. That's the reason why the play happened to begin with.
Well, you had 2 plays. You had enough time for 2 plays.
Right.
No timeouts. So the first play is going to be a pass.
Going to be a pass. Yeah, going to be a pass. But
Totally.
you lined up and run.
Yeah, and heavy set.
Heavy set. So it eliminated the possibilities of who you could throw it to about 2 different people, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that is done when the other team knows you're going to throw the ball. I mean, I'm not trying to armchair quarterback it here because, I mean, I'm nobody. I mean, I really am. I'm nobody. Josh Heupel, Halsley has forgotten more about football than I ever knew.
Yeah, but that said don't mean that they're infallible.
That was a
and
that's elementary level coaching, right?
Well, I could get that if you're thinking we're going to do 2 plays, we're going to hurry up and have a big set in there for the second play, so it gives us an option to run the ball. Right. However, you throw an incomplete pass, you've got time to move your personnel.
Right, you got time. You can sub.
So there's no reason to line up in that.
You go, if me, I go, wide and have some type of rollout play of some type and and just base off what Bama does, you give Joey a run pass option,
Well, there's a lot of things they could have done. I just think, and I would have been fine with it. And if it didn't work out, I would have been fine with it.
And maybe the best call on that play was just to isolate on the wide side of the field somebody like Brazel and throw a fade. It's a low risk type play.
It's also one that we don't run very much.
Yeah.
We've had tall receivers here, and we got a bunch of tight ends, and you seldom see a corner pass in the end zone for a jump ball situation, type situation.
Right.
But, let's back up for a moment, Bob. Let's talk a little bit more about this play. That's the formation aspect.
Right.
Okay. Then the player aspect, I think, comes down to 2 plays. One was obviously our quarterback. Joey had bad ball placement on that.
Right. He threw it to the inside. Should have threw it to the outside of.
Or he could have threw it high.
Yeah.
And let Kissman climb the ladder, try to pull it down.
Right.
Either one. You could go up high. You could go outside. You cannot go inside.
Right.
So, and honestly, we've mentioned it on this podcast. Thank you, Bob. Before we've mentioned on this podcast before that Joey's going to be a loved individual.
Mm-hmm.
That you tell you.
Oh yeah.
But his accuracy, sometimes it's not exactly. He's putting a lot of paces behind wide receivers when they cross. He went high quite a bit.
Right. That's not his.
He does. Yeah, he's not the most accurate of quarterbacks.
Right.
And I would say one other thing, Bob. Even after he threw the interception, we should have kept that to being just a 7-point swing instead of a 14-point swing. Bishop, he had the angle on him, and I don't know if he thought, man, I got to get him before he gets close down there.
Right.
And he changed his angle and got to a worse angle, and he had a dive toward the end. And I don't know if he just wasn't thinking the clock was on his side. All you got to do is chase him down. Don't matter if you tackle him at the 1-yard line.
Right.
Halftime.
Yeah. Clock would run out.
So his decision to change his angle cost us 7 points. And Joey's decision cost him another 7. But now that said, come out the second half, Bob. 3 and out for Bama. And we go downfield and grab, and it's a ball game again.
Right. I can't go through this video without bashing the refs, and they deserved it.
Yeah.
Trash call after several bad spots.
Yeah. Multiple bad spots.
You
Multiple
know,
things that just.
yeah, like one time they called us for offsides when it wasn't. It was Bama. That was garbage. Um, uh,
Another time,
pass,
Bama lined up
pass
offside.
interference probably should have been called.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, though, Bob, 10 penalties on us, which I would say the vast majority of them was correct.
Right.
7 penalties on them. And you think it's pretty close till you realize like 4 or 5 of those penalties come within the last minute and 15 seconds of the ball game.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I was at another time that I was betting, man, I can call. I've watched this game long enough, Tim. I know it's coming. When the refs think that they've screwed one team or another, you can count on when the game is over, some more flags being thrown at the end of the game. It happens all the time. I mean,
All the
time. I mean,
and I'm not blaming the refs on this right here. I'm blaming we beat ourselves.
We did. It'd been nice to have a fair shake of, but yeah. We screwed the pooch on that one, as they say.
Yeah.
You know, we probably should have. Maybe no. You're looking back at hindsight of the game, which is what we're doing. We got that advantage. I would like to go back and look at it and be in our shoes. But probably should have ran the ball a little bit more than what we did. Probably.
We had great success once we started. We just did not start the game off running the ball very much at all.
Yeah, and then we ran it whenever we really. I mean, it was good. I mean, we did good. It wasn't at the point where we, they was just backing off of us completely. But probably should have ran it just a little bit more.
When your when your Bishop averages about 9 yards of carry, then yeah, probably not just a little bit more, but probably should have leaned on.
But we a lot of our issues were self-inflicted. I mean, between drop passes and tackling, basics of the sport.
Let's talk about that tackling for a minute, Bob. I think that's about the worst tackling game that I can recall the UT team having in a long time. I'll be interested to see what the actual stats are of how many missed tackles we have in this game.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say it's a repulsive number.
Yeah.
And if this first game of the year, I'd say, hey, you blame it on not tackling, full speed and fall practice. But this is game number 7. There's no excuse for that.
Right. And the drop passes, man. Passes that hit the guys in the hands. I mean, fundamental catches. Not horrible reaching behind them.
Well, some of these have been this year.
Yeah, some
we put some balls behind them.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But we've had a lot of just.
There was a couple
100%
that I expect grade school kids to catch. I mean, it was like right here. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better placement.
Well, like the announcer said, there's only one team in the country that dropped more passes than we have, and that's App State, Joey's team last year.
Right.
That's
yeah, and it's not just by the wide receivers. It's
tight ends,
running backs. It's everybody.
Around.
Yeah,
it's everybody.
I mean, Kesselman's do about one every game. It seems like that he drops. Seems like.
Yeah, we're just not a very sound football team this year, or several years. Josh did a fantastic job in aspects of the game, but if I had to say there's one aspect that Heupel needs to truly look at, and he focuses on certain things every year, and most times does a very good job at fixing those things.
Right.
I'd say, during the first 2 or 3 seasons he's here, his thing was let's focus on this part of the defense, red zone defense, red zone offense, stuff like that. And this past year, they focused on reinventing this offense.
Right.
And tremendous success almost all the time when they do this.
Major props. Now I got to say that because I've been harsh on Heupel the last little bit. I want to give him major props for that. how many coaches can, you know, basically change, reinvent their offense, make major changes to their offense. Very few coaches do
particularly
that.
offensive coaches,
Right.
because
I give him
they figure
major
out.
credit for
Yeah,
that. Got to, because it's worked fantastic. Uh, I just, I think he probably needs, and you know, I might disagree here, but I think he might need to have an offensive coordinator change, because after that play last night, as either Heupel or Halsey, but if it was Heupel, the offensive coordinator has said, no. You know, come on, coach.
you can say no all you want to, Bob.
Right, but it's still Heupel. But I think, you know, that gives you a peek behind the curtain that you got issues. That play right there does. That reminds me of the Dooley play years ago against Missouri, where I think it's in the halftime, and we got was it Bray, Hunter, Derek Rogers.
We got a wealth of talent.
Wealth of talent. One of the most talented offensive groups we ever had down there, because the offensive line was loaded too, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And we got like 3 timeouts and a minute and 30-something seconds to go.
Yeah, we're at midfield.
Yeah, I'm like, are you kidding me, dude?
And you just decide to play for overtime. I don't think there's any correlation. I don't think there's any correlation to that.
That's the only time I have ever booed.
Your own team?
Your own team was right then. I did that right then. It wasn't my own team. It was Dooley for.
Well, I was out at Dooley way before Missouri game.
Oh, I was too, but that was
so many people point to that as the time they got out on him.
Yeah, we was.
But he was already out.
Yeah,
he quit on his team. They was one of the players walking off one of the offensive players when his time expired in regulation, ripped his helmet off, slammed it to the ground because he probably thought he'd go to jail if he slammed it up against Dooley's head.
Right. But okay, all right. We'll try not to go too long here on this video. Look, we got something else we need to talk about before we get off here. We need to talk about what's the big picture left. Okay. Is the playoffs
still within reach?
Still within reach. We went and looked through basically all the rest of the conference, looked at other conferences, looked at their schedules, what they have left, and we do have a shot if we win out to make it. Now, I will say this, in my opinion, I would put it even if we went out, I'm putting it at around 25-30% chance. We need a lot of help.
Well, we do. Normally, I would say, it'd be easy to say 10-2 SEC teams going to the playoffs, and it makes perfect sense to say that. But that said,
when you start looking
at things, it's going to be a little tighter in there.
Yeah, when you start looking at the teams in the other conference, the Big 12 and the ACC, and you're like, okay, they got 1 loss or no losses, and they got like 4 or 5 games left, and they're got maybe 1 loss. I mean, is Tennessee going to get in over a 1-loss ACC team or a 1-loss Big 12 team?
Probably not.
Probably not.
However, that said, I think here's where it comes down to. Luckily, I think the Big Ten's only getting 3 in this year.
Right.
Unfortunately, Notre Dame could get in, but if they lose another one, they're out.
Right.
That'd help out a great deal.
A great deal. Yeah.
The question remains, I think, comes down to, will a team that makes the ACC or the Big 12 championship game and lose and get their second loss in that conference championship game, can we take their spot?
Right. Yeah, it's just a problem of numbers. I mean, when you start looking at, okay, can this team, and it usually works itself out. I realize that, but you're looking at the schedule when teams only have no losses or 1 losses and playing only 1, decent team left, and then you look at our conference, we got 10 ranked teams right at the moment, as of before the poll comes back out. And you got teams like Texas A&M, which I believe is in. They're undefeated. Looking through their schedule, I don't have it right in front of me, but we did look at it. I think they're in. Alabama
probably
in. Because they have the same record as us. They're getting in because of head-to-head. Georgia probably in because even if they got the same record as us.
I guess head-to-head.
They got head-to-head. I think they got Florida. They got one more tough game.
They got Tech at the end of the year.
Yeah, Tech. But they're probably in. Ole Miss probably in.
That's to me, that's a little bit more iffy.
Right. I think for Tennessee to make it, we need 5 teams from this conference, and that's going to be tough.
Yeah. And I think we could get them 4. I don't put us definitely behind Ole Miss. I think that's going to be up in the air.
Was there another? What's the other team?
Texas still could do it, but I mean, they're
I'm not worried about Texas. And if we beat Vandy head-to-head, we got to.
You take care of that. Oklahoma head-to-head. You take care of that.
Tough schedule.
Yeah, they're about to go through murderer's row.
And they play us head-to-head. So if we beat them head-to-head, we got Florida. So.
LSU.
LSU, yeah. I just don't. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. It's not out of the possibility we'll need some help, to get in.
But now they'll
win first.
I don't see it as like a 10% long shot. Like, we're going to have to get a miracle. I don't think we need a miracle at all.
Right.
We just need a little help along the way. Yeah. The main thing is we got to take care of our own business first. So.
Yeah. I just don't feel like it's. I've heard some people say, "Oh, if we go 10-2, it's automatic." It is far from automatic when you start looking at the numbers. So anybody that says it's automatic should go and look at the top teams in the ACC, Big 12, Group of 5. Realize one of them's going in, at least one of them, Memphis or South Florida. And if those teams win out, they have an argument to try to get 2 in. Even though I'm not sure about that, but. ACC, Big 10, and then you got our conference in general. It's just the numbers don't look good for us.
A lot of teams going to have arguments.
Yeah,
for the last couple of spots, just like it was last year.
We'll be curious about the first poll coming out, where everything is.
Well, that's a big thing. Where are we at? Because we're going to have to be able to make up ground to move up in the top 10-ish.
Right.
And which is going to be difficult.
Right.
Even though we got 3 games this time. They've helped build a resume. I'm not going to say the marquee wins, but if we beat Vanderbilt, that's a resume builder this year.
Right.
If we beat Oklahoma, that's a resume builder this year. We really don't say if we beat at Florida, I think we'll get more respect for that than a lot of teams beating Florida will.
Right.
Because everybody knows of our futility down in Gainesville. And I think that'll give us a little bit more credibility.
We honestly probably need to root for Vandy to keep winning so that we can be their loss and have the head-to-head against them. That's my best guess there. And
I tell you what, though, a 10-2 Vanderbilt would be a Cinderella story that a lot of people would like to bump up, but you can't hardly, even if they're Cinderella, if you beat them in the last game of the year and finish with the same record, you can't justify putting them ahead of us.
Yeah.
Cinderella or not.
Right.
Last slipper's broken.
You want Oklahoma to do pretty good from here on out too, except for
if they can. Well, they got a tough.
They play
tough road to go down.
They play, I think, 5 teams that can beat them from here on out. I'm not sure where they'd be ranked as far as likelihood of a win-loss, but they played 5 teams, if I remember correctly. I'm thinking all of them.
Well, they're a really good team that's probably not going to have a really good record at the end of the year.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah. And they're a team that probably deserves to be in, They're a good team.
With material healthy, that's a good team.
Yeah. But you got anything else, Tim, before we sign off here?
Buck Fama.
Yeah. Can't stress that enough. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to say some stuff but I'm not.
Yeah.
You know me and how bad I hate Alabama. Satan worshippers, pedophiles. Anyway.
All right. And then They're below Bama, right?
Yeah, Bama.
Bama's at the top of your hate list, and then the state and worship schools.
You know, I've always said it's like this. Pedophiles are the worst possible people on the planet. You know what I mean? Mass murderers, you know, then Bama fans, then probably like rapists, murderers, um, scammers. They're all pretty close right there. But Bama fans that live in Tennessee, I put it like this. I would not let my son in a room alone with one. I'll just tell you that. That's what I think about them.
Okay, on that note,
Yes.
go Big Orange.
Go
and
Vols.
Let's go beat Kentucky next week.
That's right. Go Vols.